Good day, everyone. This is Sujit Podell. I'm an immigration consultant at Great Can Immigration Services. We have our offices in Mississauga, India, and Nepal. Today, we have Mr. Praful Gazraz. He's an international student in Canada. Now, he would like to discuss details about his experience coming to Canada, the visa processes, and how the education is, and all sort of information that an international student would like to get before coming to Canada. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Gazraz on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Sujidai, and thank you so much for having me in your show. Because it's my pleasure to be here and to tell what are the process to get to Canada as a student, as an international student.
Right.
As
hmm So let's hear about you. Tell me who you are, your previous studies, and the program you're choosing, and then the college you're in now.
well, currently I'm a student at Georgian College here in Barrie, Ontario,
Mhm.
and currently I'm doing diploma in computer programmer. And the previous study I had completed was I was in South Korea for 3 years.
Mhm.
So 1 year I did I did Korean language as my study, and after completion of my Korean language, I took a 2-year course, and that's associate degree in computer aided mechanical engineering. And after completion of my study, I came to Canada again for the diploma in computer programmer.
That's really good history because a lot of people they wouldn't think of that route, how you did Korean language and then basically did uh, your associate degree. A lot of people stay there, but that was a great leap. I really salute you for looking into outside. So let's discuss more on that. Why did you feel that there was a reason to move from South Korea all the way to Canada?
Well, there it was really hard decision for me to make that
Mm,
transition to from South Korea to Canada. I mean, when I was there in South Korea, um, I had a lot of things going to my mind that whether I should move to other country or just transfer in Korea. But what happened in Korea was my medium of study was in Korean, so I was facing some kind of comprehension problem. I mean, I still knew, though I knew the language, I could only understand like 70 to 80% of the content
mm,
in the classroom, and that was really getting harder for me. And there were a lot of frustration. So my after I completed my instant thought was I need to move from this country and to move to a country where the medium of study would be English.
mhm.
And so I was wondering, like, there are a lot of countries, so English speaking countries, where should I go now? So like a lot of Nepalese students, they go to Australia, United States,
Mhm.
and this this two country. And there was England, but it was too expensive for me to give a thought to go to England. And so Canada was also a country, but nobody was there was nobody back then. And so I gave a thought, like, what what would be Canada like if I were to study there? So I decided, and the major attraction for me to come into Canada was the PR opportunities that we get and the work permit that
Mhm.
we get after completion of study. That I think no country would, it would be very hard in other countries to get that work permit. So that's why
Right,
I came
right.
to Canada.
hmm No, that's really good because what you just told me is a great point of Canada because Canada fosters education first. And while you were a student, you could work up to 20 hours a week in Canada, and that gives great exposure to business, or rather computer, or you can write about software, learn more if you get a job in IT. Plus, if you, aside that, you can also get to know about real Canada. Like you can work at a superstore, or as a baker, or as a receptionist, or whatnot, right? So these are the features basically. And talking about the PR is a great option of Canada. Like you just talked about Australia and how things are going there, and that was your thought to go there, but you decided to come to Canada because ultimately it's much better for an international student to get PR. Now, I'll talk a little bit brief about the PR program. As an international student, if you complete your 1 year postgraduate certificate in Canada, you get 1 year of postgraduate work permit. While as if you complete 2, 3, or 4 years, or even like 5 years program, you get 3 years of work permit. Now, the beauty here is there are some pilot program that keeps coming and going, but I'll just talk briefly about more specific towards the federal program.
Mhm.
You work 1 full year on NOC 0, A or B. So these would be the skill categories like technical managers or baker. So while you work as these categories, like basically O, A, and B, after you complete a year experience, you are eligible to apply under express entry. And the category that you would be falling under would be Canadian experience class. Now, you of course have to do IELTS GT before you have your express entry profile, but now you are ranked better in terms of other candidates who are having an interest to come to Canada, right? So it gives you more strength, and then you'll be having more points compared to others. So that's great. And talking about the reasons or the benefit, uh, I don't know, but a lot of people have actually like their partner in this age, like 22, 23, 24. Some people like to get married after coming to Canada. So a good thing about that is if you are an international student studying in a postgraduate uh, courses or program in Canada, especially at a DLI level, at a post-secondary public ones, not the private ones. There's actually some private universities as well will give you rights to bring a spouse, but you basically can bring your spouse and they can work 40 hours a week. So that's great because you can both contribute economically, and then one of you can study. So that's another great point about Canada as well. And I'm glad you're here in Canada. Let's talk about your visa experience. How hard was it? Did you study IELTS back in Korea, or you went to your home country
Um,
and you did it? How was it like? And then you talked about the misconception about Canada, like visa gate rates are getting like there are literally zero chances of coming. How would you like to uh, explain that? How was your situation like or your experience?
um, well, first let's get into my English, what I did, and my IELTS score and all. So basically, what happened was I was looking for the requirement, like how much do we need to
Hmm.
get accepted in any college or universities in Canada. So must have when I checked their website, they mentioned that you must have at least six band in all the modules. So I'm like, wow, this is interesting because Australia, except I mean even five sometimes, but in Canada, I mean if you have less than six, it's quite hard to get accepted to college. So when I checked that and saw that, I made up my mind that I need to get at least six in all of the band. So actually, I didn't prepare by going to any institution. I prepared it myself. So I had an English background before. I mean,
Hmm.
I did A levels
Nice. Hmm.
and A levels. We had to study a lot of English stuff, and that was a plus point for me to not to go to any institution and prepare myself. So I had that confidence, and my friends, they always complimented my English, how I speak. So I was quite confident with my English language. So I registered my IELTS in Korea, and I had 1 week to prepare. So when I checked the question and all, it was fine, and I took my IELTS. It was in my university. My center was there, so I took, and I exactly got all six except for
Nice.
my speaking. I got 6.5 on that. So I
Hmm.
was like, wow, I'm meant to go to Canada because I got all six.
Right. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah. Right. So when it comes to the college requirement, a lot of colleges will take you with 50% and up. And the requirement, it says overall six, no less than 5.5. But recently we've seen that students with overall six, no less than six, are getting more. Uh, they have visa success rate, like really high success rate. So that's what we focus on. But yeah, we can also apply with 5.5 as well. So that's really great. This was a great experience. So another thing, was Canada visa tough as people used to tell? How would you like
Uh,
to respond to that?
well, I would say it's uh, it's tough, but it's not quite impossible. I mean, if it would be impossible, then I would not be here.
Hmm.
So be happy, folks. It's you can get student visa to Canada. Like I've applied to a lot of countries as of now. Like Canada is my ninth country I've been
Hmm.
to.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
when I applied for the South Korean visa, it took me 9 days.
Hmm.
And when I applied for Japanese tourist visa, it took me like 2 days. And when I applied for the other country's visa, it took me around 1 to 2 weeks. But with the Canada, when I started applying, they said like the average week for Nepalese is around 4 weeks. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. I'm gonna have to have a lot of patience.
Hmm.
So I would not say hard, but it's for the if it takes longer than other countries because they take a lot of background on us, and they want to make sure that right candidate gets to Canada. So because of that reason, I think they take a lot of time to do the background check and make sure that we meet all the requirements. So because of that, people think that is hard, but it's not. I would not quite say hard completely, but it takes more longer, and people who don't have patience to wait for the visa, for them it seems difficult. But I would recommend anybody to apply and just have patience more, develop more patience for applying, because this was one of the longest visa that
Hmm.
I had. Other countries it was like 1 to 2 weeks. It took me around 33 days in total to get the visa, and to
Right.
get the
Hmm.
visa with the passport in my hand, it took almost 40 days. So it's a long process.
Right. Yeah. We're glad that you made it. It's really a great place, and you are here on a country where you love to be, and you're studying at a great college, and the program you have has a lot of scope. So let's talk about the session you came in. What session you came in?
I came in January. I came in January because I wanted to apply. I wanted to come in September, but September 2019 was I applied, but I didn't get the seat because September is one of the competitive, and we have more programs offered in that. So I thought it would be better to come in the September because my graduation will happen in the summer. So
Hmm.
it's better for my parents to come in the summer for the graduation.
Right.
But
That's
that
right.
didn't quite
Hmm.
happen as a plan, so I had to choose January.
Hmm.
But I'm fine with it now.
Right, yeah. So that's particularly the case with almost all institutions. September has more openings. January, they're still opening, but most of the programs are running September. So let's talk more on another topic here. Let's talk about oh yeah, this one. It's really great for all the students to know. So a lot of question I get is, can I pay the whole tuition fee by working in Canada? Hey, can I make all the money? What would you have to reply to that one?
Well, I would say that, yeah, if you work during your vacation 40 hours a week,
Hmm.
I think we are eligible for that, isn't it?
Yep, you are eligible for that one, but mostly you as a student could only work 20 hours a week. So, well, I would like to tell everyone that your first primary goal is to study in Canada. Secondarily, yes, you can work 20 hours a week. More likely, you won't be able to make all the 16, roughly the tuition fee in Canada is about $16,000 to all the way up to like 24, or some institution even charges like $35,000 or more. What I say is, if you work 20 hours a week in Ontario, it's $14 an hour. You quite won't be able to make $16,000 a year, but you could afford and have a sustainable life as a student. So that would be my suggestion to everyone. But yeah, like a little bit, 2 or 3 weeks, yes, you can work 40 hours full time, but that would be my suggestion,
Yeah,
study
my
and
suggestion
work
is
and get
same. I mean,
experience.
it's quite hard to get the semester fee by working 20 hours a week during college, during college time.
Right.
So
Hmm.
If a student pays 1 year fees and then come here and work during the vacation, then it's quite possible to get to that level. But I would not say like, oh, you'd completely make that
Hmm.
16,000. But it's quite possible, like 50 to 60% of the tuition fees. I think it would be possible during the vacation.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about the practical element of education. How was the education compared to your home country?
Well, in Nepal, there are a lot of the study program is, we just study, and there are a lot of theories, not much practical elements, and no much field experience to what we study. So what happens is we just have tons of books and we just study theories and all, but when it comes to the real world experience, we don't get much because also of our country where we are as an economy, there are not a lot of opportunities that Canada can provide. I mean, if you are a business student here, you can, if you have a co-op program, that
Hmm.
what you can do is you can apply in internship and then get a business experience in one of the major companies, because Canada has a lot of MNC companies, and you can work on that and get a work experience. But when it comes to Nepal, we don't have that much opportunity there compared to Canada.
Hmm.
So it's really tough to get, because just for like some position there, like a lot of people are competing. But here in Canada, it's a different story. There are a lot of companies, there are a lot of opportunities, so we can just learn
Hmm.
and then earn as well. That's the
Right.
beauty
That's
of
right.
it.
That's really great. Yes, you have basically summed it up in a really great way. Yes, co-op is a great way of getting the practical element, getting real life experience while you're a student. I'll also like to add that while you're a student in Canada, you get grades per week. So you get assignments, you get group works, and you have to do discussions over and over again every week. And then your final grade will be accumulated all over. And then you'd get like a pretty good grade, right? So that's another thing great about the international student here in Canada. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
mhm,
that's true. I mean, in Nepal, like the evaluation was done just like one examination at the end of the semester.
mhm,
But here it's like every week we have to do assignments, and those assignment carry out all the marks, and it gets at the end, it sums up at the end. So like even the class discussion, like some classes, if we have like good discussion with the professor, uh, they they give good marks for that, and that accumulates at the end. So it's like as everything in total, like we have academics, we have projects that
mhm,
we do our field related, and that contributes. And Canadian study, I would say it's more towards student. I mean, in
mhm.
Nepal, a teacher and professor, they used to work hard, and then they gave everything like baby feed. It was probably, but here they they say something and they give us the work. So what happens is we become more independent to that.
Exactly. Hmm.
We become more independent and more research oriented. So what happens is, because of that research oriented, our critical mind develops, and that's where the critical thinking and decision making power comes from. And if we happen to become a manager or something in the future, that this skill would really help in the future.
Exactly. You have briefed everything to like great point. Yes, that's really great. They really teach how to apply theory and how to make it a better way. You know, they'll teach you each and everything so your prospect in your life would be better. So, uh, we could go talk about more detail, but I think we pretty much covered all the topic here. Uh, that would be required for an international student to think about it and know more about it. In the end, uh, would you like to recommend student to come to Canada, and why would that be? So that's kind of like our last question, and then we'll take leave from the show.
um, well, there has been a lot of misconception about coming to Canada. That's very hard. Guys, be free.
Hmm.
It's hard, but it's not impossible. So I would recommend to apply for the visa and then only make decision that whether it's hard for you or not.
Hmm.
But just by listening to other people, sometimes what happens is friends who are not even in Canada, they give you suggestion, and those friends or people are not the right person to take the suggestion from. uh, Take suggestion from people who are already in Canada, so they will give you the real feedback experience. Like me myself, I'm here already, so I would say my Canadian study experience is quite good here. A Canadian life student. I mean, I have a work, study, and life balance here. I mean, I make quite sustainable money at the moment as a student. But after my graduation, I'll have
Hmm.
more grade points, and my life would be in the next level probably, that I would not have gotten in any other country. So I would definitely recommend to apply to Canada, and just apply and then decide whether it's hard or not. This is what I wanted to say at the last.
All right, thank you, Praful. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time. I know you've been really busy. You also helped our community by doing extra work at this time,
Yeah,
especially during COVID-19. We would like to thank you so much for your help and your true words towards the reality of life and reality of Canadian studies here in Canada. So uh, I would like to end this show for today, and I'd like to encourage all the students to please kindly come forward and give Canada a thought for studying here. Because you can literally study and then you can establish yourself in Canada. With that note, I'd like to thank you again. And thank you everyone for watching this show. If you have any questions, please kindly comment down below. Thank you so much and have a great day. Take care.
namaste.
Bye. Namaste.